Hey gorgeous soul, I'm Zoe and welcome to the Oasis State podcast, a space where we decode life's mysteries and embrace the what the fuck moments that make it magical. Let this podcast be your trusted companion on your wild journey of transformation, healing and soul expansion. Together, we'll dive deep, celebrate our technicolor existence and turn life's chaos into pure magic. Yay! And welcome to our episode about dead parents.
Yay! We formed an exclusive little club.
Yes.
Which you were not invited to.
Yes. We don't want you to be invited to it, but the rite of passage will come at some point in your life. So that's why we wanted to record this episode, to sort of help anyone else that has to go through that initiation of losing a parent. So yes, we're going to dissect grief today. And just talk about, we'll let it flow and see what happens. But both Sorene and I have lost our fathers. I lost my dad in 2022, so I'm a few years along now. But as you find out, grief is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So, and then Sorene,
I lost my dad last year, so it's only been a few months.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew grief because I lost my brother 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh fuck, I've got this shit in the bag. Like, come, let's do it. Let's go. And then about 6 weeks in, I was like, what? This is a different flavor.
Yeah.
So losing a parent versus losing a sibling.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
It just rocked me to my core.
Yeah.
And then that's when I reached out to you and I was like, hey, can I ask you a personal question? And you're like, yes, oh my God, juicy. What is it? And you're like, well, don't leave me hanging.
Yeah.
What is it? And I was like, okay. Well, I was like, well, I have a dead dad and you have a dead dad. Can you help me talk about this? I'm like, is this okay? Is this overstepping?
But I think that's already an important note to make, is that you don't, even someone that's going through grief, you don't know how to address grief sometimes with other people, because you're like, if I talk about my dead dad, is Zoz gonna, have this big trigger sort of thing. And that's it. I don't know if it's our Western society, but we get a bit funny about but I suppose it's just conscious consent, you know what I mean? Hey, do you feel comfortable talking about this? But I don't know. I think that's important, why we should be recording this podcast as well, is because we need to normalize talking about grief, because you're like, hey, is this okay? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, babe, let's go. Let's talk about our dead dads.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. And then we made this beautiful club,
yes,
which has been so cathartic for both of us.
Yeah.
And I think for me, because I was really hesitant about reaching out to you, because I've seen so many people in my clinic come through and they're 5-6 years down the track and they just still haven't processed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof, that's a lot to carry for so long.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, I need to get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, I'm still not over it.
Yeah.
And you're like, babe, it's been 6 weeks.
I was like, chill out.
Ain't no chill.
Yeah. No, but it was really beautiful, and there's no need to compare. Grief is such a unique journey for everyone. Like I said, it's a marathon. But I think you and I are people that are just we can move through things quite quickly, and we're so drawn to expanding and shifting things. We don't want to stay in a space for too long. That's probably the other edge of the sword, because I had to keep telling you fucking chill. It's been 6 weeks. You're like, why aren't I over the death of my dad? And I'm like, are you fucking serious?
I was like, I'm so bored of grieving. I'm over it.
Grief is so boring and lame and low vibrational.
And every time we spoke, you're like, remember, you're still in the grief cycle. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Zoe. I'm over it.
No, I'm not.
I'm not. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
I've decided. And grief's like, oh, bitch.
I don't want to cry anymore.
Yeah, but it's so exhausting. And I'm so glad you reached out to me, because like we said, we've created the Dead Dads Club now, and it's also sort of Dead Parents Club. So if you've lost a mother as well, welcome to the club. But as you said, you have lost a brother, and then you sort of thought you knew grief, whereas losing my dad's the first really close death. I've lost people in outer circles, doesn't impact you as much. So I just went, balls deep into one of the most unique grief journeys, because there's a whole bunch of layers that come with losing a parent, because they are the reason you were brought into this world. So it's just a lot deeper, and we can get into that as well, because there's just, when you move through the initial layers of grief, there's an invitation to start reparenting yourself after a while. And it's yeah, you can lose a brother, you can lose a friend and everything, and it's still heartbreaking, but there's just like this, it's a different relationship with yourself that comes along with the absence of a parent, like literally not being earthside anymore. So there's layers. But yeah, so when you reached out to me, you were pretty much just in like it was very clouded. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors and you just didn't know your way out. And I was actually blown away with how I knew exactly sort of where you were, because your grief, you know, you honor your grief journey, but it's not like I was documenting it or being like, these are the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. And I could just see you so clearly. And I was just like, I have so much compassion for where you are, because it is a gnarly part of the journey. But yeah, you're probably not going to tell you what you need to hear, but you got to slow down and just be present with it.
Yeah, but like even unpacking that, I was like, oh, I'm at this point in my grief cycle where I'm actually exhausted. I was actually exhausted and I wasn't grieving. I wasn't even focused on processing the grief. I was burnt out.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I was crying. And because I messaged you because I was like, I cannot stop crying. Like, is this a normal thing? And then I realized, I was like, oh, I've got burnout.
Yeah. So yeah, we affectionately called what Sorene was going through bereavement burnout. And I think it's the combination of anticipatory grief, which I've already recorded an episode on this in my grief series on my podcast. And I actually didn't realize how much of a toll that takes on you. Like you know, it's even if you lose a parent quite quickly, or it's an illness that might take them slowly sort of thing, it's, you don't realize like you're holding on, aren't you? Like you're just so in this state of like sort of thing, and you think you're processing it, but so that's like a whole kettle of fish. So you've got the anticipatory grief, but then they pass away. And then you go straight into the logistical battle of like, where's their will and you know, what is it, like
the funeral arrangements, all that admin, and then like getting all these certificates and then closing all these accounts down, and then also like logistically managing family. And because everybody is so different and everybody grieves so different and everyone's so heightened, and it causes so much chaos in your whole system. And even though like you're grieving and like it's like your world has ended, life still goes on. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like,
that is so traumatizing.
I still have a job.
Yeah.
I still have to work. I still have all this life admin as well.
Yeah. That's it. I honestly feel like I want to call in a society or a sense of community where we can honour a death a bit more, because that was so traumatizing for me too. Like you lose your dad and then I'm like, oh shit, like rent's still got to be paid. I don't get any time off. Like I was a sole trader at the time and still am. So I don't get bereavement leave or anything. Like it was just like, no, like life goes on, and it's sort of sobering and helpful in some ways with the process, but then in other ways you're just like, I simply can't, because you're doing all that extra admin on top of it. And if you're listening to this episode, you're probably like the identities of Sorene and I and our families, where we're a little bit more tapped in, a little bit more empathetic, and we sort of had to take the lead emotionally for the family. Like when you told me what you did for your family, and I don't know if you want to share, but like how you got them to sort of all go in and say their goodbyes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, babe, that's like so much space you've had to hold on top of your own grief. So,
but it's like one of those things where you go into survival mode and you could just go like one track mind, and like, we just need to get through this. Yeah. We just need to. So with my dad, the quick backstory is that he had dementia and Parkinson's, and he fell even more ill like around May last year. And so it was just like a downhill progression after that. And then he broke his hip, and then it just went like within a month, he just completely like his body just depleted and gave way. And so in that month, it was just such a back and forth situation where it was like, okay, are you going? Are you ready to go? Why aren't you going? Why aren't you letting go? Like, the quality of your life is depleting. Like, and just trying to help him move on. And I did so much spiritually to be like, fucking soul, get over to the other side. Yeah. And like work with so many different practitioners. I was like, let's help him move on. And then it got to the point where I was like, grabbed all like my sisters and my mum, and I was like, all right, now we need to do like forgiveness and tell him we forgive him for anything and that we love him, and like help his soul move on, if in case that's the reason why he's still holding on.
Yeah. Literally.
I was like, okay, and now we're gonna do this for him. And then there were times where I'd go see him and I'm like, goodbye.
Yeah. I don't want to see you again.
this is it. This is the last goodbye, and then I would talk to you when you're on the other side, okay? Like, I talked to him like it was a naughty little kid.
Yeah.
And he would just, like, lay there and look at me. I was like, your soul needs to move on now.
And
because
so,
your body has stopped working.
and it doesn't make sense anymore. So for a bit of a backstory, Sorene is psychic. So she's, you know, can still speak to souls on the other side, and we can get into that a bit later in the episode. So do you want to speak to that a little bit? How it's like, it was because it would be such a different experience with grief and people passing over, because you can sort of already see what's on the other side more than your dad could see, because he wasn't psychic. So
No, and that's also like one of the reasons why I was like, okay, we need to help your soul like cross over, because there's a reason that you're holding on. And like, why is it that you're still holding on? Like, is it something that you need to heal? Like, you feel like you didn't accomplish in this lifetime?
yeah.
And so I just really wanted to work with his spirit more
Yeah.
than anything, because I was like, your physical body has just given up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what is it that you need? And so, like, when he did pass, and I did see his body after he passed, and it just made me realize even more, like, whoa, this is a little sack of flesh.
Yeah, it's just a meat suit.
It is a meat suit.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked. I was like, it looks so different.
Yeah.
Without
yeah,
the
it's
soul.
all like grey and like...
He was like yellow.
Oh, yellow. My dad
It
was
looked really
grey.
waxy.
Yeah, okay,
I was like,
right.
he looks like a wax figure.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, if that was too much TMI.
No, well, that's what I mean. Like, there's a whole point in us recording this episode is to sort of normalise the grief a bit more, you know? Like,
Yeah, because, I mean,
we're
that
all
was-
fucking going through it, or we're going to go through it at some point. Let's make it a more of a communal, light-hearted conversation, because that's,
Yeah.
I think dark humour is the way to get through this.
Oh my God.
Like, literally.
I mean, we formed like a
Yeah,
club called
because
Dead Dad's
we
Club.
called it Dead Dad's Club, and I was like, my dad would be frothing on that name as well. Like,
Yeah,
he
my-
died at 69. I know he's so fucking stoked about that. He died at a dirty number, and he's just like, yeah. So yeah, I think the humour's important, and yeah, that might have been confronting for some, but maybe you just need to lift the veil a little bit. Like,
because that was the first time I've ever seen a dead body.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. But then also, like, the more I looked at it, I was like, whoa, you're literally, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no more to you.
Yeah. So I feel like the best way, well, the way that I describe a soul is like the electricity, like the electric charge that comes into the body. Like, you're not just born and then you like get plugged into the wall and then you're alive. There is a conscious like electric energy within you that is charging the meat suit. But to be a human, like, you need a soul and a body, you know what I mean? Like, and your soul will exist either way, but to be a human, like the definition and experience of a human is to connect that collective consciousness and that light into a meat suit for however long you're meant to be here, and do the lessons and, you know, raise your consciousness and all of that stuff. So for both of us that are sort of very, you know, into understanding those more abstract things, it's so interesting going through grief, because we literally saw the actual experience of like a soul in a body and then a soul not in a body, you know? Because I've seen cadavers when I was studying, so like at uni when you're doing anatomy and physiology and stuff, but you can't, you know, I don't know, that was very, I couldn't relate to that. I didn't see my dad's body, but I was the last one to see him alive, and I went to say, well, I didn't realize it was goodbye, but then I had this like intuitive pull of like, because I was sort of chickening out. So I had a pretty complicated relationship with my dad, and I just wanted to go. I had like this big speech in my head, and I literally just blubbered it out in like 4 sentences, like basically like the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. Like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. Just blubbered it out. But, you know, in those moments you realize like less is more. Like, you have this whole curated thing in your head and it just never goes to plan, and you just feel it sort of thing. But so I didn't see his body after he'd passed away, because in some weird twist of fate, he got moved to a hospital that was 5 hours away from where I was living. So I was already home by the time he passed away. I wasn't going to turn around and travel 5 hours just to confirm what my mum and sister were already telling me.
I know.
I was like, I'll believe you.
Like, I don't need to see that.
Yeah. So my sister saw it, and she was pretty traumatized. So yeah, if you're listening to this episode and you haven't lost a parent yet or anyone yet, like, just let that decision, if you have the opportunity to see their body, be your decision in your moment, because we can speak to both parts of it, but it's all just part of your own journey. But when I saw Dad, he actually passed away about 30 minutes after I saw him. So my family and I were like, okay, he waited for you, because he was in this hospital in Brisbane, and my mum and sister were there, and I was in Northern Rivers at the time, and then he got transferred, and it was just this like it was just such a whirlwind. Like it's really wild in those like liminal times. And I went and saw Dad, blubbered out my little forgiveness prayer. And and then he went unconscious about 30 minutes after I left, and my whole family's like, yeah, he was waiting for you. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
So I didn't see his dead body, but I saw him right as like it was literally like the life was leaving him. He was grey. He was it was the closest to like a dead body that I've, obviously apart from cadavers, but yeah, you can just straight away tell when someone's on their last legs, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
So with my dad, he had stopped eating and drinking, and so we knew he was like, okay, this is like, we've got a few days.
Yeah.
Turns out you cannot eat and drink for 5 days.
Yeah.
And so like every day go in and say goodbye and go and say goodbye. And I actually like the Sunday, the day before he passed away, went in. For some reason, I don't know why, I brought my keep cup in, had my cacao there with him. And then I was saying to my sisters, I was like, okay, tomorrow, if he dies, don't call me before 1 o'clock. Because I was like, I want to go to work in the morning and feel a little bit normal. And then I've got a tattoo. Like I went to get my first tattoo that day. And I was like, I've got my tattoo at 1, so you can call me anytime after 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all good. And then the next morning, I was like running around the house looking for my keep cup. And I was like, where is it? I need my cacao.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. I was like, oh, I must have left it at the nursing home. I was like, okay, I'll get it after I have my tattoo. I was like, I'll pop in and then I'll say goodbye to Dad again.
Yeah.
And so, like, morning had such a great morning. Went and got my tattoo, and super cute.
Yeah. That's Mel's drawing. Hey?
Yeah, that's Mel's drawing.
Yeah. So cute.
So cute. And then I, like, got my tattoo, and then Jules went to get the same one after me. And I was like, yeah, peace out. I'm just going to quickly go to get my keep cup, and then I'll meet you at home. And I was so adrenalized from the tattoo.
Yeah,
like,
it's like buzzing. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I was just like... And then, like, when I walked into the nursing home, there was, like, this family having a reunion, and I stopped and I, like, watched them, and I was like, oh, my God, my heart. It was so nice. Yeah. It was so beautiful. And then I walked through, and then I just walked into his room, and I was like, dead. He's dead. There's a dead body. Holy fucking shit. And I walked out. And then someone, like, from the nursing home was walking past, and I grabbed them, and I was like, is he dead?
Yeah.
And, like, it's like my brain just couldn't comprehend.
I was going to say, but it's like, you realize so quickly, like, in your, like, consciousness, but your brain's still trying to catch up, like... Ugh.
Like, he was, like...
But you just feel it as soon as you go in the room. You're like...
Like, it was... And, like, he had flowers on him.
Oh.
Like he was,
is that what happens?
Well, like, they washed him, and then they tucked him in nicely, and then they put, like, flowers on him. So I was like, it was so obvious, but I was like, no. I was like, oh my God, what? And yeah, the guy was like, I know. It's really confronting. That's only the 3rd time I've seen a dead body. And I was like, I've never seen a dead body before.
Yeah.
And he's like,
let alone your dad.
Yeah. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm in serious shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, stay with me.
Yeah.
And then I told him to tell me how to breathe, because I was like, you tell me to do this now. And he's like, do you want to go back in? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I went, like, to grab my phone to call my sisters. And then, because my phone had been on Do Not Disturb because I was working that morning, I had all these missed calls. So they were trying to call me as I was, like,
and you're like,
like watching that beautiful family reunion. And I was like, oh my God, Breezy.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, like, he passed away at 1 o'clock.
On the
and I was
bloody
like,
dot.
He heard it and was like, that is the time that I'll go.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cute. Thanks, mate.
But I also feel like the synchronicity of watching that family reunion as well. Like, there's definitely something going on there. Like, your guides or he sent that to you, just like, you know, stopping to watch. Like, because obviously if you've gone through grief, like, you think that it's going to make your family all warm and fuzzy, but it can bring out the worst. It does not. It's like the opposite. Like,
because everyone's in pain.
Yeah, that's it.
Everyone is, like, in raw pain, and everyone is trying to process it in their own way. And nobody tells you how. There's
no textbook. There's no, like...
No, it's all weird.
It's just the blind leading the blind, and we're all scared shitless. Yeah. So, I don't know, just when you mentioned that, seeing that on the way in, and just a happy family and a reunion, and you just actually stopping and taking that in, like, there's got to be some symbolism to that. Like, just a nice little moment of, like... you know, or maybe that was your dad sending a message of, like, this is what I want for you guys, or you can be at peace now. Like, I don't know, I just feel like that didn't just happen, you know?
I know, like, there's so many things about, like, you know, like, the keep cup. situation.
Yeah, that's it.
And like, and then
And why didn't you just not care about the keep cup? You know, like,
I know,
I'll just take another
I
one
was
today.
so hyper focused
Yeah,
on it. I was like, but I need that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's like 40 in the house, but I was like,
Yeah.
no, I need that one.
Yeah.
And then, so then his care manager came and got me because I was like, so I like ran out, like so dramatically, like ran out of the nursing home. I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this. And then he came and got me and he's like, do you want to go back in? I was like, I don't
Sis,
know.
chill.
My dad died.
Yes.
Oh my God, what can I do?
Oh my God.
And then like he held my hand and he took me in.
Yeah.
And I was like creeping around the corner. Like I already charged in.
Yeah.
And then stared at him. And then I was like creeping around the corner. I'm like, Daddy.
Yeah.
And then like, so I went and saw him again. And he's like, you can touch him. I was like, oh, fuck no.
No.
No, thank you. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is weird. Like,
Love you, Dad, but no.
Like, no, I cannot do that. And I came back later with my mum and my sisters. But I feel like I needed to be that person to prep them.
Yeah.
And be like, just be prepared because like, it's a dead body.
Yeah. I feel like it was either your dad or your guides or whatever just orchestrated with the keep cup and everything. I think you needed to see him by yourself and process and everything because, as I was saying, that you were sort of running the ship emotionally for your family, like getting them all to forgive and grieve, and like you're just so like you're zooming out and holding everyone.
Yeah.
And then also with you helping your dad sort of process and go, the whole time you were saying that, I was like, that's the parent role. Like you had to go into the parent role to parent your dad to die. Like there's fucking layers to that.
There's
like
so many layers to it. Like the fact that like I moved my parents in with us like as the like he was declining and then I became their carer and like I was like parenting them towards the end and then like losing them and be like, oh wait, but I'm the child.
That's it. And that's your journey now. Like we can get into that, but yeah, I just feel like it was all orchestrated in a way that I think you needed to see him by yourself without your sisters there, maybe be the first as well and just be like, okay, sweet, because you had to put your big girl spiritual cap on and get the rest of the family on board with all of that. Hence all of these reasons why when you message me 6 weeks later, you're like, what's going on? And I'm like, you told me all this. I'm like, I think it's bereavement burnout. And because that's the thing, like we've just spoken about what the anticipatory grief is like because, you know, your parents will, you know, starting in May of last year and the whole way through and the logistics of it and having to help your mum out. Like she's still, you know, the matriarch of the family, but then she's losing a, you know, lifelong partner and it's just all these layers. But then, like you said, on top of it, we go into, okay, what are the funeral plans and, you know, insurance and blah, 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 and all of it. And it's just, you have to be so compassionate with yourself during that time because you're already so burnt out and then you're expected to move mountains and have life going on. And also, you're a parent, by the way.
Yes, I am.
You know? Oh, that's right.
That's right. There's so many balls to juggle.
Yeah.
And I think like also just like randomly walking in on my dead dad, the dark humor helped me.
Exactly.
Like that took me through because I was cacking up so hard for so long. And then I was like, I like called Esther and I was like, hey, funny story.
My dad just died. I saw his body.
And then like just so many funny things until like a few weeks. But I needed that to be able to like hold me to be able to go through the logistics of like the funeral arrangements and blah 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 blah. And then also that night, psychically, like spiritually, he like came down. Like my brother actually came down and was like, "You have oh no, wait, hold on, track back."
Yeah,
I was like, "I've got to pee so bad. This is the middle of the night." I was like, "I've got to pee so bad," but then I couldn't get up, and I was like, "Oh my God, I've got sleep paralysis." And then my brother came down and he's like, "You've got 30 seconds." And I was like, what? To pee?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And then I just got like whooshed up. Yeah. And I was like, oh, where am I going?
Out of your body,
out
spirit,
of my
up
body,
into the
like
ether.
astral traveling up. And then I was like on the spirit plane. And then my dad came. And then he was like there in front of me and like thanked me and then hugged me. And I was like, oh my God, we're in heaven.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so exciting. Yeah. And then my brother hugged me and then the dogs hugged me. And then like all these spirits that I like knew.
Wow.
But like from different lifetimes. So like I didn't know them in this lifetime. But I was like, oh my God, I know you.
Yeah.
And then they all hugged me and they're like, you have to go. Otherwise your spirit's going to get confused. And I was like, oh my God, it's so nice up here. I was like, it's so loving.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I'm ready to peace out when I am ready.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my
yeah.
God, if this is what's on the other side,
Yeah, we got nothing to worry about.
I want to get there. I'm ready to cross over, guys. And then I like got whooshed back down. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then like I was like, oh, that was so amazing. But then I was on this adrenal high where I couldn't stop laughing. Like, oh my God, I walked in on my dead dad, and then I was like, oh, I went to the spirit realm, amazing. And I was just like out of my mind, basically.
Yeah.
Like just off in this little plane until all of a sudden, like a few days later, it all just kind of hit me, and I was like, boom. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I had these random moments. Like I remember I was just walking around Coles, and like you said, because you go straight into fight or flight and you're organising everything, you're trying to process and catch up. I'm just walking around Coles, like in the Asian aisle, trying to get some like coconut milk for dinner, and I'm like, my dad died. My dad died yesterday. And like you're just walking around, and it's so like,
And you're like, but they're normal.
yeah, I was
Their
gonna
life
say,
is
no one
normal.
knows what I've gone through. Like,
Yeah.
and I suppose that's a huge compassion piece, because you can walk around, like, I'm having a pretty normal day today, but I could walk past someone in Coles whose wife has passed away, or they just
Yeah.
lost their job. Like,
And you
we
never
never
know.
know what someone's going through. So it's like really that compassion piece of like, when you're going through that, you're like, you want the barista to smile at you, or like a nice checkout chick, like to be, you know, nice to you. Like, just be nice, guys, because you do not know what people are going through. Because I had these weird like moments where I was just like, I'm organising my dad's funeral, I've got my dad's wake this afternoon, and you cannot, like, there is really a shock period for like a good chunk of time there. You're just like, I don't know, yeah, it's because your little brain trying to make sense of something that's so, I don't know. My experience of losing dad was the biggest, like, I don't have control moment. Like realizing like you, no matter how organized you can be and happy and positive and everything, like life can still come along and rip the rug out from underneath you. And then I just feel like I had this whiplash for like a while after of like, but I'm the creator of my reality. What do you mean? Like, as we get into, I've been into spiritual stuff and mindset work and everything, and it's like you create your reality and your thoughts create your life and all of that. But it was so beautiful, because losing my dad as well has also been the biggest spiritual initiation ever. Like, I am so at peace with how it's all worked out, because I know in my timeline that was like a contract of like, okay, dad will pass away at this time in your life, because I am just so much more in tune with life now, or my view of life or whatever. But yeah, it was really wild, because we walk around with our little human minds thinking like, I'm in control, and then something,
I'm infinite and I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah.
But then like that little bit of morbidity that comes into your life kind of like anchors you into a really beautiful reality.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, this isn't like, we have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to like dive in as much as I can to all of the experiences and like all the emotions, and like I have zero control about any of this, and I could like die tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so like if I do, I want to be at peace with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And you've been one of the lucky ones that knows what's going to happen on the other side. So that would really help. But for you as well, like using you losing your dad is a bit of a spiritual initiation, because you already spiritually mentor people. So you can be like, guys, it's fine on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's not like grief's going to be central to your journey, but I think similar to me, it's like a notch in our tool belt of like how we can sort of guide other people, because we're like, guys, like it's like your dad dies, but then you've got to say to yourself like, but did you die? No, it's all good, babe. Like, look at you. We're here laughing now about it and having like this, we're, you know, going to go get some bakery food after this. Like, life goes on. It's a really paradoxical, weird experience, but like weirdly calming as well, and like gratifying.
And I think like losing my dad, like the flavor of it was so different, because it made me view grief completely differently. Because it was like my brother, it's like I lost my brother, like a mate, like just my little buddy. But then my dad, it was like, oh my God, you taught me and you gave me all these like beliefs and systems and like structure. And now it's like all collapsing to the ground. And I'm like, yeah, and I want it to, but I've been watching it collapse. And I'm like, okay, but what's the next structure? But what do I put in its place? Like, is someone not going to give me that like patriarchal structure? I was like, just my own whole system is like breaking down. I'm like, what?
Oh my
But, like
God.
the little girl in me is like, where's my dad to hold me?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with losing a parent just being so different to other grief journeys, is because they shape the way that we viewed the world, our relationship with it. They stuck our values in our head. They made us feel safe or not safe. They made us feel nurtured or not nurtured. Like it's, I had a complicated relationship with my dad as well. So on top of just the missing him and grieving him not being here, it was like, fuck, it was this huge invitation to look at all of the things that I couldn't look at while he was still alive. And mind you, if anyone else is listening to this and they've had a complicated relationship with their parent, whether they're alive or not, there is not one part of me that has any regret about like, oh, I should have sorted this out with dad while he was alive. I genuinely know that the grief journey has been the portal for me to reparent. And like you said, like, where's my masculine sense of structure? What's my relationship with the patriarchy? What's my relationship with men, sort of thing? And like I said, I'm very proactive in my spiritual journey and my consciousness journey, but dad took his demons to the grave. So there is no part of me that's like, damn it, if only I was 5 years earlier and we sorted it out. Like,
no way.
He took all that shit to the grave, but it had to activate me on my journey. Like, we have these like little threads that are interwoven all the time. And even when relationships are really like traumatizing for you, it's actually the invitation to become the best version of yourself, So I can be like, oh, I had a shitty dad. And it's like, okay, I had a shitty dad. Where can I reparent myself in ways that he couldn't show up? But then also not being angry at him and practicing forgiveness. Like, it's been a whole journey.
Absolutely. And there's definitely things that I have been unpacking since he died, and I would not have been able to do it while he was alive.
Exactly.
Because there was the barriers of like, okay, well, do I communicate with him? But no. There was just no way I would have been able to unpack that stuff with my dad. But now I can do it while he's in a spirit and he's in that frequency of love and neutrality. And like, he doesn't have his demons anymore. And so now I can actually unpack it with him and be like, what about this and this? And I have been in my like acupuncture sessions where I'm receiving the treatments and dad has come through and was like, let me just take that off you. And he's like, okay, that was a lesson that you needed, that we both needed to do at the moment, but you don't need to carry that anymore. And then he will just like pluck it out.
Amazing.
And so, there was definitely things that couldn't be unpacked while he was alive.
Yeah.
There was no.
Yeah.
It was just like a no-go area.
Yeah.
So, until he died, it gave me the space to be like, whoa, now I can actually see what you actually brought into my life, like what values like you instilled upon me and kind of like gave to me that I don't actually want anymore. Yeah.
And I think that whole journey happens after you just completely surrender to the abyss, the dark, terrifying, scary abyss that is the loss. But then when you can sort of come up for the air, and you don't have to come up, like, you don't come up straight away sort of thing, but it's really beautiful when you can, like you said, you can start saying like, oh, you gave me this, and that's an invitation to, you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of the grief journey shows you what you're capable of. And it's like, I keep calling it reparenting, because it's like, what can I do for myself? What can I shift, activate, transmute, let go of, surrender to, that I couldn't while I had this complicated father relationship going on? And there's a whole mother relationship as well, but thankfully my mother is still on this earth. But our mothers are our portal, literally a physical fucking portal into this planet. So there's a whole mother side of things as well. But I just really, like, you're only a few months into your grief journey, I'm a few years into it, but we're seem at such similar points as well. But it's so, I don't know, I'm really at this point now where it's okay to feel like a victim about the grief journey, because it is one of the most horrible things ever. But then when you're like this, I don't know if this is too gnarly to say for someone that's listening right now that might be like a bit more emotionally affected by it, but like, it's going to happen to all of us and life goes on. Like, you're not special because you're grieving. Oh my God.
And it's just like that hit of morbidity that everyone needs to be like, everyone is going to die.
Yeah.
So that's just
buckle up, babe. I don't know if this is the tough love that everyone needs, but this is.
But it's like, until somebody passes away, you kind of just have this ignorance about you.
Yeah.
Of like, you kind of know it's in the background of like, it might happen, or it happened to them, but it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
And until it happens to you, you're like, oh, that's a real life thing that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not just in the movies.
That's it. It's not just
Like,
in the movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That actually happens to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm a very emotionally sensitive person, but I did not understand the wells of ability to like feel until I went through grief. You know what I mean? It's really, really showed me, because all grief is love. It's just like an expression. It's the other side of the coin. It's like, and even me, we're having a complicated relationship with my dad. Me grieving him is grieving the potential, and in my inner child, grieving having a more stable dad and that sense of safety and that sense of structure in my life. Like, grief is just an expression of love. It's one of the most uncomfortable ones, but I did not understand my capacity to feel and love and everything until I went through the grieving process. And I'm grateful for that. Like, there really isn't a part of me that would want to make it any different, or like I wish he was here for longer or anything. Like, I miss him like crazy, but I don't know, there's like this weird acceptance that I've always had of like, no, this is how it's meant to be. Like, our soul contracts came along and that was written in, this is going to happen at this time.
Yeah.
You know?
And I have no regrets about not telling him certain things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like so at peace with that. And then like even when my brother passed away, because he took his own life, I was so at peace
layered.
with it. Yeah. I was like, fucking good on you.
Taking back control.
Like, not in like a weird way, but
No.
I was like, whoa, that was your choice and you decided to do it. And I'm really at peace with that, because that was your life journey. Yeah. And it's like I feel like I have a really healthy morbid
relationship with morbidity.
With morbidity.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That was your life journey and you chose that before you came in, and like you chose that path.
Yeah.
Or like we might have a few paths that we can go down, but you chose this one towards the end. I'm like, okay, I see that for you.
Yeah.
I see that. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I don't know. And I suppose like we're going to lose other people in our lives, or maybe we're next. I don't know. So morbid. So dark. Oh, I love it. With the like pink fluffy couch and flower crowns and pigtails. Like, maybe we're going to die next and we're not going to have to go.
And then you have to upload this podcast and be like, in memory of Sorene.
And I know you'll be laughing on the other side. You'll be like, yes, bitch. Drop the mic.
Look at this. I'll come and like stalk you.
Oh my God. But yeah, so I was like, we can only speak to our grief journeys, and maybe the grief journeys are different because of the relationship, like we said, we're commenting on parents or who they are as a person, because I'm the same. I think I got such a level of acceptance with my dad passing away because he was a traumatized person. He took his demons to the grave. He had mental health issues. He left us as a family quite early on because he couldn't handle it. And mum told me as well, I didn't realise, she told me after he passed away. I'm sorry for the sirens in the background. Classic tweed. Classic tweed. But yeah, she told me later that when my sister and I were younger, so I think my dad left when he was like, when I was 4 or 5, and mum used to have to pop us in the car at night when we were sleeping to drive. Like, we were living in Brisbane, she had to drive up to the Sunshine Coast because dad called her drunk, like threatening suicide, to like jump off the balcony. But in all of these beautiful things that mum did to try and keep him alive, because she obviously still loved him and cared for him and then wanted us to have a dad, he still never let us know what was going on. Like, he never sought help or anything. But so maybe that's why I've had this level of acceptance, because I'm like, oh my God, like, he's at peace, you know?
Yes.
So that's why we can sit here and be, like you said, even have acceptance for your brother, even though suicide's like a very, you know, it's a very traumatizing way to go for some people. But it'll be interesting over the years, like, if we're not the next ones to go, when we lose other loved ones, if our relationship with the grief is different, because we're like, oh, she was so young, she had so much potential. Like, will it feel unfair? Whereas I feel like with losing my dad, because I know he was so traumatized, and he basically, I called it like a slow suicide. So he got diagnosed with leukemia and passed away 10 days later. But actually, I called it his life pretty much a slow suicide, because he just, like I said, he's took his demons to the grave, but he kept making decisions that were just slowly draining his life force. So he became an alcoholic, he was eating crap, he would gamble, he would, you know, not an exemplary human basically, or a father figure. But I still, you know, I've done that whole forgiveness journey. I'm not like ratting on my dead dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, a part of me was like, he's out of his misery, and I don't know why that level, that maybe that's why there's a level of acceptance, because I was just witnessed my dad basically commit slow suicide. And then it was so wild, because then it's like the paradox of like he gets diagnosed with leukemia of all things and passes away 10 days later. Like, but
which is still then a shock to your system.
That's it.
As well.
So
I
had
like,
like
what?
The
What
slow
happened?
grief journey, and then the shock, and then you're just like, what the
So
fuck?
confusing.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder, like, our relationship with grief as we lose more people over our lives, if it'll be a different journey, or maybe this level of acceptance that we have of like, nope, that was their time. Like there's no mistakes. I don't know, maybe it's like that trust in the universe. I don't think there's any mistakes. Everything's very delicate, and we are sovereign beings and we have choice, but I live from a place of like, we don't have as much control as we think. And I think that's what the grief journey taught me, is like, when it's time, it's time. Like, let go, baby, and all you can do is show up for the thing that's happening, which is your parents passed away.
Absolutely. But I also think because we are such spiritual people, and we're like, this is all just part of like the greater plan.
Yeah.
Or like this is the path that they've chosen. And like we have those beliefs in us that we're here for like a finite amount of time. We come to Earth for these experiences, and then we peace out and go somewhere else. So we know like our soul evolution keeps going, but the human part of us is only here for like up to 100 years or so. So that also like was also in the back of my mind, because how I dealt with dad passing was completely different to how my sisters did, and how I viewed it was completely different to how they viewed it.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. What was something was coming through as you were saying that. No, can't
It's
think.
gone.
It's gone.
But you know what? After dad passed away, I read these books, and they were like fairy porn books.
Oh yeah. Akata?
No, like they were, what was it called? Like Dark Fae.
Ooh,
It was
yes.
like, have you
Yeah,
heard of
like-
Zodiac Academy?
No, but you and thing we're talking about.
Yeah, so it was like the prequel towards them. And so like grief is like a big part of that whole book series. I learned so much from that. And like there was one bit where I remember, and like it stayed with me, where it was like, I can't let, I can't focus on him dying and not focus on like what we had together. Yeah. Like the life that we had together.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say. That is like, I think, well, on the grief journey, our mind, because it's so small, it cannot conceptualize grief. Like, I feel like grief really gets you into your spirituality. And you don't have to be a spiritual person, but like, grieving is a spiritual process. You do not, there is a level of analyzing it and logic, but your little black and white brain like cannot comprehend grief. It is so, that's what I was saying before. Like, I did not realize the capacity that I can feel and, all of that until I started grieving. And I think our mind makes us believe that when we're grieving that we can't continue to love that person, or like you said, celebrate their life. So that's that fear of grieving, or when you're grieving, is like it's, they're gone. It's like, but they're not.
Like the belief system is like, once they're dead, they're gone.
Yeah.
And then like that's it forever.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we should really celebrate that they were here and like all their achievements that they had.
That's it.
Like, but for longer than just like one day on their funeral and then their wake.
Yeah.
Where everyone does like a nice little speech.
Yeah.
Has a chat and then just goes home.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And it's like, no, we should like celebrate them.
Yeah.
All the time.
And you can
like,
think beautiful memories about them, and you might cry, it might bring up something, but like I said, grief is just an expression of love. So if you bring up a memory like, oh, I remember at that barbecue when dad did this for me, and you get upset by that, that's you. That's how much love you have, like as a daughter to a parent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so if you're listening to this and you're like on your grieving journey or a bit scared or whatever, just remember that like, it's just a belief system that's stopping you from loving that person and celebrating that person. It might hurt a little bit, but I promise you that's what they want. They not to hurt. They don't want you to hurt. They want you to be in pain. No, but they want you to love them and still be connected to them. And also honor them by being the best version of yourself. Like,
absolutely.
Definitely when you're at the start of the grief journey, all bets are off, mate. Just do whatever you need to do. If you need to be in bed for 3 weeks, if you need to go out and have a few beers or whatever, like just do whatever you need to do for a little bit of time. Put a Band-Aid on. I reckon, full permission slip, put a Band-Aid on. But there'll be a point where you can come up for air eventually. And then I think the best thing you can do for your loved ones and your parents that have passed away is just be the best version of yourself. Not in like a disciplined way, as in like beating yourself up if you have a fucking cheeseburger, but honor them. Like, they're not here, but they're looking down and they're cheering us on, sort of thing. So just keep doing you and evolving and becoming the best version of yourself. And that's a way to keep honoring them and celebrating them, even though they're not here.
Absolutely. I think that with grief, it feels isolating because, yeah, we all do it in our own way, but we feel like, oh my God, nobody else gets me or understands me because like this is my own personal experience. But we need the community.
Yeah.
And because we need like lots of different people to have their little inputs and be like, this is how I felt and this is what I did. And then we can just lean on so many different people and get so many different perspectives and be like, oh my God, I love that point of view and I love that. And then kind of come up with your own.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like,
too.
in this Western society, like I said, grief isn't spoken about enough. So that's why I'm really excited to have this episode, and we're laughing about dead dads and seeing their bodies and all of that stuff, because we need to, create a community and create a conversation. And I know when you messaged me, you were like, everyone's so supportive and around me. And I was like, oh, but babe, I get it. It's like, it feels like there's a 6-foot wall of glass around you and everyone else.
Yeah.
And you know that you're loved and you know that you're supported, but like, there is a sense of isolation that it's needed. But I think when you messaged me and I was like, oh, well, this is where you're at, this is what you're going, this is how you feel, it was probably a lot similar to what a lot of other people were saying, but I was the only one that's lost a dad as well. So you're like, oh, okay. In like, that moment, like, your soul needed me.
Yeah, I was like, Zoe gets it.
Yeah.
And like, everybody could have said the same thing, but it wouldn't have hit.
Yeah,
they probably were. And I was like, you fuck off, you don't know what you're you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But like with you, I was like, oh my God, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. 100%.
Yeah, that's it. So that's why I think, like, grief is going to feel isolating, but I think you're making such a good point of like, I want it to be more of a community experience and like a collaborative experience, because like you said, we need different people's viewpoints at different times. Sometimes you might need like the soft, squishy person that comes and, makes you cupcakes and give you a cuddle. Other times you might need someone like me to be like, you're not special. Everyone's grieving. You might need the tough love speech. No, but it's, like you said, we all need like a little bit of everything to help us in the grieving process. And what's coming through for me as well is like not trying to control the grieving process. Like, I think your intention for the clarity and relief and happiness and all of that is a separate experience to actually embodying it. You can put that intention out there, you want the clarity, but you're going to be, your life's going to feel like a snow globe and you're one of the little snowflakes in there and it's being shaken up, and it will just do that for as long, like it's different for everyone. You can't be like, okay, put the snow globe down. It's like you can set the intention for the clarity or the relief or the happiness, but be compassionate and surrender in the fact that setting that intention and the actual embodiment of it are probably going to be two separate things.
Oh my God, 100%. Like, you have to be so gentle with yourself because it is your personal experience. But then, like, whatever is going, like, your personal, like, experience, and then, like, whatever's going on for you in your life, oh my gosh, you just have to be so soft and gentle with yourself. Because, like, while I also had to parent, like, telling Malachi that his puppy died was the most, that I think that broke my heart more than my dad passing. Just, like, having to say it. And he just lost his mind, and then I lost it. Because I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, because I suppose as a parent, you want to protect him.
Yeah.
How did he take it?
He was just so sad. I mean, obviously he knew, like, he could see Poppy declining. And then, because we had gone to Fiji when Dad ended up in hospital, like when he first went downhill. And so for him, it was so confusing. Like, all of a sudden Poppy was home, then he went to hospital, and then he was gone. So, but after that, we didn't want him to see him because he looked really gaunt, and it would have been like really scary for him. And even though he said like, I want to see Poppy, and I was like, you don't. We want you to keep that beautiful memory of him. Of like the last time you remember him was like when he was at home, not in a bed in a nursing home. So like that was our boundary with him, and we had to protect him that way. Even though like he was so sensitive, and like he knew he's like, I want to go, and it's like, no, we can bring little cards. But you're not, like, I'm not, no. I was like, it's so confronting for me. I couldn't even imagine. He's 6 years old.
Exactly.
But for him, so he was like really, really upset about it, but then also kind of bounced back really quickly and was like, okay. And I remember 3 weeks later, I was crying And he's like, Mum, why are you crying? I was like, I'm really, really sad about Poppy. And he goes, that was so long ago. He died ages ago, Mum.
Seriously, Mum, get over it.
And I was like, oh. And then, like, so part of my brain was like, what?
Yeah, like, wait, what? Am I being a little bitch about it? Oh, kids are so refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good because, yeah, like you said, you were trapped in the middle there. Like, you're grieving a parent, which we've expressed as so many different layers there, but you're also a parent.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you have all those instinctive things of wanting to protect him, but then not shelter him. And, you know, like, you want it to be a normal relationship with death sort of thing. And, oh, man, just layers.
Yeah, layers. And then, obviously, we've raised him to be, like, okay with death. And, you know, like, because our belief system is like that we turn into angels, and so he's okay. So like when he watches a movie, he's like, it's fine, they died, they're gonna go to heaven and be an angel, and he's so cool with it. But then on the other flip side, I'm like, I don't want you to be like too cool with it, because and be impersonal and take that away, because I was like, as much as you're all right with it, I'm still in pain. Yeah.
And do you feel like he intuitively felt that, like, I need to be soft with Mum?
Yeah, he did. And then he just like came and brought me blankets. I'm like, he's a little projector.
Yeah, I was gonna say little projector baby.
Yeah, so he was like just like covering me in blankets. He's like, there you go. And left me alone.
Yeah. That would have been such interesting territory for you, because we're sitting here yapping on about like honouring the grief process, but then also you're trying to parent and probably not spook your son too much as well. Like you said, you want him to be okay with grieving and death, but then also not, you know, create these patterns of like, we're working through reparenting stuff from things, you know, from our childhood. So you don't want Malachi to be like, oh, Mum was in bed and really sad for a really long time, and that like creates some like fucked mother-son complex, you know, like.
And then I also didn't want him to be like so disassociated from death, or like so like uncaring about death, because I still am like, okay, we're good with it, but also we want to honor it. And I didn't want him to just be like, if someone else comes to him and it's like, oh, this person died, I'd be like, yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah. And you're like, oh. Yeah. It's really interesting, your relationship. Like you said, you feel quite isolated, and I don't know, like I never got upset with anyone, but they don't have a rule book either of like how to, you know, we don't have a guidebook to grieve when you are grieving, but then there's no guidebook about how to support people that are grieving. Yeah. And it's that weird thing of like life goes on, like, you know, friends are off at work and doing this and that, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay. But like, I've got to do that too. Like, why wouldn't they? You know what I mean? Like you're applying these weird like relationships with reality. Like everything gets spun on its head. And then you're like, why am I bothered by this? Like, it makes so much sense, but then part of me is like, you got that little inner child that's like, I am drowning in this scary dark place right now, and I need you. But then also when they're there, nothing that they do fucking helps anyway, and you just it does, but you know what I mean.
It's so confusing, because then you're watching everybody else and you're like, I'm still moving on with life, and I'm going through it, but then you're like, I'm fucking jealous, because you're over there doing that and I'm still like weeping here.
I know. It's actually so traumatizing. I know exactly what you mean, because life is moving forward all the time. We have this like society that's, you know, overstimulated, and we've got the hustle culture and everything, and when you just need to melt into, you know, a puddle, and your whole relationship with life and who you are and death and rebirth and everything is going on, you can't be out there, like we both own businesses, you can't be out there like, I've completely shut down my business because my business is mentoring people, and then I was like, I don't know how I see the world right now, are you serious? Like, but I've come out the other side and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so much more tapped in now, as I mentioned, but it's really traumatizing when you have to pause everything. And I actually went and just got streams of income that didn't mean anything to me, because I was just like, whatever. Like I wasn't like depressed or suicidal, but like I just remember walking up and down the beach, and I'd be like looking up at the sky, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'd be okay if I wasn't here.
Like numb.
Yeah, numb.
Yeah,
like I didn't
really,
want
really
to. I wasn't gonna
to life.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I still have days like that where it's like...
Yeah, because you're so much earlier on.
Just peace out.
Yeah.
And, like, if there was a button to have a long nap, I would. But then I'm like... But then on the flip side, it could be within the same hour. I'm like, oh, I fucking love this.
Yes!
Like, how good is this to have this experience?
Exactly.
Right now?
Yeah.
But then other times I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
I was really offline for a while there, but I think that could have been, maybe it's a bit of soul retrieval as well, because when you go through something like grief or something traumatic, your soul can fragment off into different places and parts of the world and as a protective mechanism. So I think it was a bit of like a soul retrieval thing as well, because I was just like offline. Like I lost my spark. I was just like, I don't fucking care. But it was also like, maybe there's a part of me that's like, I know this is only temporary, but like I've never been so like offline like that and numb and everything. So it could have just been like a bit of a long process of calling all these parts back to myself, because now I'm like so good and I'm thriving and everything, and still missing my dad and still grieving, but like I feel like I'm alive again. But this is 2 years down the track. So at whatever point you're listening to this too and you feel like you don't have your spark, I promise you it's only temporary. And it is, I'll acknowledge it is really scary, because you're just a bit like, I'd be okay with not being here. Like, you know, not going to act on it or anything, but it's a wild experience.
I know it's a weird thought to think, and you're like, I'm definitely not suicidal, but I'm just kind of like indifferent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't really care.
But also in saying that, I remember, I actually think it might have even been within like the week of Dad passing away. I was down in Coffs Harbour and a group of friends took us out to, I think it's Dorrigo National Park. It's like out the back of Coffs, so if that's the right one. And I remember we were all just sitting there, we were like throwing rocks in the water, just like being like we were in fresh water, and it was gorgeous, you know, palm trees and gum trees and everything, just like such a beautiful experience in Australian nature, which is amazing. And I remember, you know, because when you're grieving, you're not like, you're around people, but like that big glass like bubble is around you, and I'm not like initiating conversations. I'm not being like a Debbie Downer, but you're just sort of like in your bubble or like witnessing other people having fun.
Yes.
And it's weird. So I was sitting there doing that, and I sort of had this like zoomed out experience, and I actually had this like wave of like love and gratitude for the moment. And I remember I was like, because when you lose a parent or you're grieving, you're like, nothing good can ever happen again. You know, like I know we were speaking to like, oh, there's a level of acceptance, but it's not straight away. Like I'm like, yes, I'm glad that Dad isn't in pain anymore and all of this stuff. But then there's a part of you that's like, nothing good will ever happen again. Like you're scared of being happy again, or you lose a bit of faith in like happiness or good things happening. And I'm looking around and I just had this huge wave of gratitude for the moment. And I remember I was like, oh shit. So I had to have that moment of Dad passing away and then living every moment for the last week to get to this moment. And it was like this weird coming moment of like, life goes on. Like it was like that first moment of like gratitude and connection with life again. And I was just like sitting there watching my friends like play around in the water and doing whatever we were like out in nature. But it was like this really deep understanding of like, I couldn't have this moment without having that moment that I had last week of losing Dad. Yes. And it wasn't like a one or the other. It was like, I understand that life is sequential and it is moving forward. And it was like this weird, like it got me out of that rut of like, well, my dad died, everything sucks, which it's okay if you're in that rut, but it was like this, I was pulled out of it by like this appreciation for nature. It was beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. You've just got to be like, oh my God, this is shit. Like the world is ending, and just like lean into it, because that's just all part of it.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's where your brain's trying to catch up with everything, because when I was like, what do you mean I can have beautiful moments when my dad's not on this planet, you know? And it was like that block of this belief system of like, no, your dad's died, everything's grey and gloomy right now. And it is. It fucking is. And it just needs to be for as long as it is. But it's weird, when you start having those beautiful moments again and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And also, like, when those beautiful moments come, you kind of feel a bit guilty and we're like, oh my God, but should I?
That's it.
Should I, like, be crying? Because like, my dad just died 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And like, here I am laughing.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, but I think because, like, we watch movies and they, like, just cry and cry and cry.
Yeah.
But it's like, we don't get to see like the whole 24-hour spectrum of like every single emotion that you feel, where like you feel good, then the next second like you feel like crap, and then like it flips into something else, and then you feel indifferent, and then you feel like, oh, spontaneous, I'm gonna go do this. It's
just an absolute roller coaster. And I think it's circling back to that compassion piece of like, I had days when I didn't want to get out of bed, and I don't know if I did, or maybe I just like watched Netflix in and out, like, you know, didn't put any pressure on myself. And then, other days I'm like happy, sad. And I think, it's just not trying to control what the process is like and just showing up moment to moment to moment. And it literally feels like moment to moment to moment for a while there. And then you can go for longer reaches of time. And you might want to do things like get back into work or get out there and socialize, because it just brings you out of that internal experience and you just like come up for air sort of thing. And you're still processing all in the background. But yeah,
for me, like I went back to work like pretty much straight away because I mean I went back to work like 2 days after my dad died because I was like, obviously I have my own business, but I was like, I need this for myself because like that gave me so much sanity. But now that I'm a few months out, now I'm taking time out to actually enjoy the time off, because like for me I was like, I don't want to take time off and just lay about eating potato chips and being sad, because I felt like, oh my god, what a waste of time. Like I would not have enjoyed it, even though I took like little chunks and little periods. But now I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually going to take proper time out and really lean into it.
And because that's like you said, it's intuitively the better time to do that, because before you're in fight or flight, so it's like, well, I may as well distract myself and get
I would have just like I was just like constantly on Instagram, like real binging. And I was like, dopamine, give me the dopamine. And I would be there like, and I was like, this is not good. So I'm happy I didn't take time out, because I would have spent way too much time dopamine sucking out of social media. But oh my god, I have a crazy story. Did I ever tell you this story about the snake?
No.
Okay, so like while Dad was like alive and his dementia was in full swing, he would be like, make sure you shut the back door because there's going to be snakes in the backyard.
And you're like, oh, it's dementia.
No, there isn't. Like, it's a little courtyard. Like, it's pretty big. But I was like, there's no snakes around here. Like, oh, so strange. But he was so persistent about the snakes. And we're like, so weird. And then the day after he died, in the backyard, and then Mal had just, like, made this little Mega Blocks creation. Then and then he made it the day before. And like, he was just sitting in there in the backyard. And then, like, out slithered a snake. And I was like, what? And then I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, it's brown. And so then I was screaming. I was like, Jules, there is a snake in the backyard. And he's like, well, don't move. And I was like up on like the furniture, like, oh my god, that's a snake. That's a snake. And I was like, it's Dad. It's Dad. Oh my god, it's Dad.
What a way to come back. Jesus, Dad.
And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Dad? And Mum was like, why are you screaming? Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, your dad died. And I was like, it's Dad. And we were like, so then we called the snake catcher. And then like he came out, got a snake, and he picked it up and he's like, oh no, it's fine, it's friendly. It's like, it's not a bad one. But we were like, oh, are there many snakes around? And he's like, no, this has been the first call out in months in this area. And we're like, that was that. That was that. He knew he was coming back as a snake.
What a way to come back.
I know. I was like, is that why he kept warning us about the snakes in the backyard?
God.
Since then, hasn't been another snake. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You just cost me $200. To get the bloody snake catcher out when I could have just let her
off.
He would have been like,
fucker.
that would have been like the funniest thing for him to be like, ha, sucker.
Oh. Well, yeah, I think that's actually a good segue into talking about how we can connect with our loved ones after they've passed away, because both you and I have that viewpoints of like, once you pass away, it's definitely not the end. Like, we've got a soul, it's just not in the meat suit, so you're not a human being, but the essence of us lives on. And I remember so I've always had like a pretty strong relationship with like building signs with the universe and asking, just say, hey Dad, like, send me a pink elephant, or you know what I mean? Like, you can sort of create a language or a relationship with your loved ones when they've passed away if you need that. Like, it's so important to know that they're still watching over you, you know. And I'm somewhat intuitive and psychic, but nowhere at your level, but it's definitely evolving.
There's no levels.
I know. Well, yeah, I didn't get beamed up to say goodbye and have a fucking cuddle in heaven. So yeah, that wasn't part of my journey. No, but I did.
But when I die, I'll be.
Yeah, you'll be
like, come on, sus. Come on up.
No, I think I am quite psychic. I just gaslight myself. So that's a thing. That's a thing this year of like. I'm like, this happens to everybody, or this is not a thing, blah, blah, blah. But no, I did have one very definitive moment where I was like, this is definitely my dad. I was driving somewhere in Northern Rivers to like pick up a friend's car or something. And I'm literally, so I think maybe because I was in autopilot, you know, when you're driving and you sort of can like, it's like when you're in the shower, you can get that inspo and those downloads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like driving along, meandering on these roads. There's no traffic lights or anything out there. So you're sort of just like on autopilot. And then all of a sudden I had this image pressed so clearly in my mind. So probably my third eye. And it was Dad and I in like these, you know, those really old school, like fold out deck chairs sort of things.
Yeah.
Looking at the sunset, having a beer. And I was just like, what the fuck? But like, it was the feeling that came with the image that I think it was just him telling me like, I'm okay. And it was, I pulled over. I was like hysterical, but not in, it was like relief. It was happiness. It was like, because
he's like, I'm having a beer,
like, yeah, he's like, but I was there too. Like he was,
Yeah.
maybe that was him telling me like, you are there, I'm here sort of thing. But that wasn't a memory. Like that wasn't something we did on Earth at this time. And obviously we won't have a chance to do it now. So I think that was his way of just being like, I'm all good. And I have had an interesting relationship with Dad's spirit since he's passed on, as well. So it's like that was such a comforting experience because you know, as much as I am saying like, oh, I know what happens in the unknown, there is still a part of you like, where are you? Are you okay? Send me a message or whatever. But oh, that image was just, yeah, it was only a few months after as well. And it was just so needed. I didn't even know how much I needed it, but yeah, so I feel like,
Yeah, that would have reassured you. Be like,
yeah,
he's okay.
yeah.
Like, he is at peace.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Because like you know that they're at peace, but you sort of like need that confirmation as well.
But then
So,
you're like, are they?
yeah.
Like, what actually happens when we die?
But how peacey is your peace, you know?
What is up there on the other
what,
side?
What you doing? Yeah.
What do you do all day?
Yeah. But yeah, so if you're listening and you want to connect with your loved one, just start talking to them. Like I've had so many moments where I've been falling apart and I'm like, Dad, please help me. Like, and sometimes it'll be like honestly an instant wave of like love or like just some sort of like wave flood of like good feeling. And I genuinely just think that's him like sending me love or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. I always tell everyone, I'm like, I'm the lucky one. Because
Yeah,
now I
you
got
are.
two on the other
Yeah.
side. And mate, do I ever use them?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, they are my greatest asset.
That's it.
To be like, this is what I want, make it happen.
Yeah.
And even this morning, I was like, just having a morning where I was like, oh, I need to get petrol.
Yeah.
And
Everything is an
I was just like,
inconvenience.
meow. And then I was just like having a little bit of a meow. And then like as soon as I step out the door, there's like money on the ground at the service station. I was like, all right, guys. Like,
I'm going to complain more.
okay. And because like Dad's surname was Cash,
Oh.
whenever I think about them or they're trying to send me a message to be like, chill the fuck out, Sorena,
Yeah.
I always find money. And I'm like,
It's a win-win because it's money that you can use on
no,
this this
don't.
plane. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Like, I always, like, find money and I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, peace out.
Yes.
Like, we're all good now.
Yeah. Well, my symbol or whatever, sign that I've conjured up with my dad is he used to be an absolute fanatic Brisbane Lions fan. So that's an AFL footy team.
Yeah.
So I asked him to send me AFL stuff. So when I recorded, so I've got, as I mentioned, a grief series on my podcast, and the first episode I recorded, like, I was a blubbering mess. Like, I cried for like 80% of it. And I was like, hopefully this is not too much. But I think it's actually good because sometimes people that listen to that need to cry as well. And we just need to sit in the grief for a little bit. But
Well, you feel less isolated because you're like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, she's dealing with it.
Yeah.
She's, you know, like sort of thing. So the morning I knew I needed to do it and I was like, oh God, I'm so nervous. And the morning I was doing it, I was driving along thinking about it and I saw like a bumper sticker of a Brisbane Lions thing. And it said something like, you know how like all the footy teams have like their little
Yes.
sayings? It was like, be brave, be bold or something underneath. And I was like, okay, Dad, I'll do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like over the years, I've just been like walking around in random shop and seen some Brisbane Lions memorabilia, like an old stubby cooler or whatever. So that's one sign that I'm very aware of. But yeah, like just the world's your oyster, guys. And I feel like they actually have a really, like, you know, souls on the other side have a really beautiful humorous sort of relationship. Like I've had so many times when Dad sent me a sign, I've literally been like, like had a little laugh about it. And it's so nice because they've got a humorous side. So that's why we're here, like, you know, laughing about morbidity and stuff, because they're not taking life too seriously. They don't have one anymore. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh my God. But literally, like I've had so
Yes.
much confirmation that they're having the best time up there and they just want that for us.
It's
So
their best time.
Yeah.
And like I remember working with a client and his sister had passed, and I was like, you want to talk to her? Let's get you connected.
Yeah.
So like we worked and worked and worked, and to the point where he was like ready to actually connect. And then I was like, all right, let's have like a little picnic with our siblings, and then what we're going to do. And we sat on the floor and we chatted, and then I was like, okay, now your sister needs to do this, and like tap you on the head. And he's like, yeah, I can feel that. I was like, okay, now I'm going to get my brother to smack you on the head. And he's like, whoa, I actually felt that. I was like, I know it was hard. I feel it.
so good.
So like there's levels of like your connection with them and being able to like feel them and know that they're there, or getting signs from them. There's just so many ways. Or like receiving messages through music.
Yeah, when it's song lyrics
when
and you
it's
like
song
tune in and
lyrics.
you're like, noted, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa, I actually never listened to this song before,
Yeah.
but now I'm listening to it. Like,
Yeah.
it just randomly came up on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I had this one day when I was in a cafe and I was so stressed out. Like I was so contracted and just like trying to control everything. And then you know that song Drop the Pressure by Milo? Like, do, 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 do. And the lyrics are just like, just drop the pressure, drop the pressure. Literally, it's just drop the pressure. And I was like laughing so hard. And I was like, noted. Okay. Take a breath, chill out. But yeah, so you can just ask them. And like you said, it's a muscle. You sort of have to like, flex it and get that awareness going. So yeah, like just start noticing things. If you see a little butterfly fly by, and if you're in a phase where you're trying to get used to these signs and you've got people around you that maybe aren't the biggest believers, I feel like just keep the signs to yourself, or only say them to people that will encourage it, because you don't want them to come and like be like, no, that was just a butterfly. Because I see butterflies all the time, but when I know it's like a butterfly for me or a message, it feels different. Like you sort of just like, doom, like get like locked into this like, I don't know, weird connection thing. And you're like, okay, that's something that I need to pay attention to.
It's all about like, feeling safety in that trust of like, yes, they were sending that message to me, and like, yes. And even if it's like a little bit of a placebo effect of like, no, I really believe that in myself, that they like, go with it.
Yeah, that's it.
Fuck yeah.
If it makes you feel better, how is it hurting anyone?
I know.
Like you don't need anyone else to validate your sign and your conversation.
About it. It's like, yes, no, I felt it in my soul that they were sending that to me. Like, yes, oh my God.
I can't tell you how many times signs have just made me burst into tears, but like it's love, like it's happiness, it's love. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, all good. But yeah, so if you're on that journey of like trying to move through the skepticism as well, like just watch, those like psychic medium shows. There's like there's a Tyler Henry one on Netflix. Like you watch that back to back to back, there's no way he can know that information. You know what I mean? So he'll go and be like, oh, blah, 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 say it all. And I think that could be a way to sort of help you believe, get through the skepticism and be like, oh, well, maybe there are people that connect to, maybe the souls are on this planet sort of thing. And yet watching those things and sort of like getting your mind around the possibility that there is a way to have a conversation with these souls since they've passed away.
Yes. You know what book I love the most is Many Lives, Many Masters.
Oh, I was going to say that, but yes.
That one, I tell everyone to read that
Yes.
one. I'm like, then that helps you with just knowing what's on the other side, or just like giving you that little bit of comprehension of, there is no way that shit could be made up.
And when you like broaden your awareness like that, you're like, how dare we think that it's only this physical existence and we're only this physical body? Like the audacity of believing that. Like there's nothing wrong with expanding this awareness. It's actually like, it's like feels good in your body. You're like, oh, that makes so much more sense than just thinking that like this however many years I'm on this planet and this physical body is the only fucking thing. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's such like the audacity of being a human being, basically.
I know, because I have so much more faith and love for life, because like knowing I'm just here for this like earthly experience.
Yeah, you're like, oh, so good.
And you're like, this is fun. Like all this shit, things that happen, you're like, you know what?
Easy
like
breezy.
it's absolutely like trauma is shit.
Yeah.
But then like once you process it, you're like, needed that.
Yeah.
Just wanted that for the experience, apparently.
That's it. Yeah. And like, the grief journey just makes you so much stronger, and it's a lifelong thing. There's no destination, but yeah, it's really nice when you get into a place of gratitude for it. Like, because I genuinely love the person that I am now and the relationship that I have with life. And like I said before, having my spark back. And I just knew intuitively when Dad passed away, I was like, oh, this is it. I just like, just knew in my being. I think that's why I was anticipating him passing away for so long, because I just knew I would never. Obviously, you're never going to be the same after losing a parent, but oh man, it's an invitation. When you lean into the evolution, it's like holy shit. Like there's no amount of book that you can read, like self-help work that you can do. Like the grief journey is like being in the spiritual trenches, but it's like the most potent clarifying experience as well. Like I wouldn't want to be on the sidelines, intellectualizing this. Like now I can help people through my business from an embodied place, because I'm like, yeah, babe, I've fucking been there. It's scary. It's dark. It's confusing. But I'm here. I made it out, so I can help you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take that away from me at all.
Yeah, because like you realize like how much emotional capacity you actually can have as a human. And you're like, whoa, there is actually more of a broad spectrum than I ever thought there was. Yeah. And it gives you so much depth to life, rather than be like, I read like 4,000 self-help books and like now I feel like I know things. Yeah. To really move through the experience that happens here on earth, then you're like, I fucking really know. Yeah. And because like I've experienced it, I have a real life grasp on it. Yeah. And then you like spin your own flavor on it. Yeah.
That's it.
Makes absolute beautiful wisdom juice.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I said, when my dad passed away, and that was like my brain being like, what? I'm not in the driver's seat of my life, and things, I can't just think positive thoughts and bad things aren't going to happen. So that was just completely deconstructing all of that relationship with life. But now I've come full circle, and I'm like, so it's like a co-creative journey where, yes, I am like in control, like not in control is the wrong word, but like I am a sovereign being, and life is responding to my thoughts and my emotions and my decisions, and there's no right or wrong, even on your grief journey or with life. Like there's no way you can fuck it up. It's just learning the whole time and evolving. But I feel like going through this grief journey now, I'm like, I am in the driver's seat, but life is in the driver's seat too. Yeah. And sometimes you're going to pull the trigger on life or a change or letting go or activating whatever. And other times life is going to come and sweep the rug from underneath you. And your job, that when you're in that driver's seat, is just responding to it and doing the work. So it's like this full circle moment of like, it wasn't just me or just the universe. It's like we're in this co-creative dance all the time. And there are definitely things that are like written in the stars, but then there's also this like balance of like, but I'm in the driver's seat as well. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at now. In this moment, I'm like, it's this nice little push and pull, and it's this balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yay. Well, should we wrap this up?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've been talking for a while.
Yeah, I think I just projected out now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, like, let's go to the bakery.
To lay down.
Yeah.
We've done our 2 hours of work for the day.
Yes. I'm really interested to see how long this went for. Well, thanks if you're still listening. Thanks, guys. And I suppose, reach out to either of us. We'll put like all of our info in the show notes if this resonated with you, if you want to talk with us, if you want to book any of our services or anything as well.
If you want to join our club.
Yeah, if you want to join our club, it's not exclusive.
If you don't want to, but if you feel like you're like, in that stage.
Obviously there's a membership process of losing a parent. So you can't just like...
That's a prerequisite.
Yeah. As an honorary member, you have to go through something so traumatizing. But
Yeah, but we're here for you.
Yeah, if you want to join our club, let us know. We can make it a more interactive experience.
Yeah, we can obviously like build a community, but not but we want to focus on the joy of life after losing parents. Not, okay, this is going to be a club where we can all just lay around and cry. And there will be moments of that. Yeah. But we really want to focus on just the life after.
Yeah, the full spectrum of grief, because it's not just about crying and thinking your life's over because you've lost someone you love. It's like, how can we alchemize this into our personal power and our greatest experience? And you and I have shared so many experiences and examples in this episode of how we've had gratitude and how we've felt better in ourselves and more happy and more at peace with the life and the death experience. Like, there's so many juicy nuggets in the grief journey that I don't think are given enough attention. So hence this episode, and hence Dead Parents Club.
Yeah, and because it's all about honouring them.
Yeah.
The life that they led. And whatever your relationship with them, put that aside and just be so loving. Yeah. And gentle with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the answer is love.
Love and above.
Love and above.
Love.
All right, guys, we love you. Talk to you soon. Hey, beautiful soul. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Oasis State podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. It means the world to me knowing that everyone who needs this medicine and magic can lovingly receive it. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out via social media, my website, or email. Can't wait to connect, and until then, sending you heaps of love.